Hello everyone. Today is the 24th of March. Just over a year now since we first went into lockdown. Just over a year since coronavirus began to impact our lives, began to impact our life together in church, began to impact our world so seriously and so severely. Last week we thought about St. Patrick. How could we do anything else on the 17th of March? We focused on the powerful spirituality summed up in the prayer poem, hymn we know as the Deer's Cry or St. Patrick's Breastplate, with its deep conviction that ultimately whatever we do, from getting up in the morning to safely finding our way in the world, is only possible through God's strength. I sense and imagine and hope that that ancient insight came true for many in a new, deeper way in the past year. This week, as we travel further into Lent and prepare for Palm Sunday, we'll think about a character called Dorotheos of Gaza. Now, few have probably ever heard of him, but he has an insight even more ancient than Patrick's that is also still wonderfully fresh and true for today. Dorotheos asks us to imagine that we have drawn a circle with a compass. You remember how we used to do that at school. Now, says Dorotheos, think of God as the center, right where the point of the compass goes. He then asks us to imagine that we start our journey through life at some point, any point, on the circumference of the circle. If we want to get closer to God, the most direct way is a straight line towards where God is, at the center. But remember, other people will be on their journeys too towards God from where they start on the circle. Think about this. As you make your journey closer and closer to God, you cannot avoid coming closer and closer to others as they approach God from their starting point. For Dorotheos, this is a picture of the truth of the way human beings relate to God and to each other. The closer we get to God, the closer we get to one another. The closer we are to one another, the closer we are to God. This also works in reverse. On our journey, if we walk away from God, if we travel away from the one who should be the center of our life, out to the edge of the circle again, maybe even beyond where we started, we get further and further and further away from other people as well. In Dorotheos's mind, all this illustrates the very nature of love. As he puts it, the more we are turned away from and do not love God, the greater the distance that separates us from our neighbor. If we were to love God more, we would be closer to God, and through love of God, we would be more united in love of our neighbor. And the more we are united to our neighbor, the more we are united to God. For me, Dorotheos gives us a really clear, helpful picture of our spiritual journey and gets to the heart of what the Christian life is all about. I just love the way he absolutely fuses love of God and love of neighbor. They cannot be artificially separated in our thinking. They are indissoluble. The truth is, we cannot love God and hate or even be indifferent to our neighbor. Growth in the love of God also has to include love of those images of God with whom we share our world, our neighbors. So Lent isn't so much about getting our act together as we get right with God. It's more about getting our understanding of God back in focus and our attitude to others back on track as we move to really put God at the center of our lives. As 1 John verse 20 insists, anyone who does not love others whom they have seen cannot possibly love God whom they have not seen. This Lent and always, let's keep traveling towards the center of Dorotheos' circle. God bless. Bye for now.